money in here.
No, I don't like that. Hey y'all, you are now rocking with The Imperfect Adult. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Yaya and I serve as your guide through the messy maze of adulthood. If you are not new to my channel, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Glad to have you here. Everybody make sure you tap that like button, you subscribe, and you share this video with everybody who can use some financial tips because I'm going to let you know how I hacked my finances. We're going to get into it. Let me share with you how I got into a position where finances aren't giving me as much anxiety. I knew I had financial goals. I knew there were things that I wanted to buy. I knew there were experiences I wanted to have, but there was a really big disconnect between my pay stubs and my bank account. And I just couldn't get a good grasp on it and figure out what was going on.
Firmly grasp it in your hand. Firmly grasp it. Firmly grasp it! That ought to do it.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I downloaded all the spreadsheets. I downloaded all the apps. And I knew that budgeting down to the penny was not going to work for me. The first thing I did was get intentional on what my financial goals were. Sitting down with my bank statements was probably the hardest part of this journey because I really had to be face to face with all the money I done cut up, flushed down the toilet, and lit on fire, line by line, transaction by transaction, purchase by purchase. This part was actually surprisingly a little difficult. I told myself a lot of times if I wouldn't have done this or bought this, blah, 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 then I would have this much money in my account. And it just, thinking negatively is non-productive, but I knew that sitting down and getting my finances in order was positive and was productive, and I was able to get through it. I think I went back 3 months to get an idea of where my money was going. Once I added up my monthly expenses, that would be like my rent, my car, groceries, my insurances, phone, student loans, like these are the necessities. They added up to about 51% of my take home pay. And I really couldn't believe that, to be honest with you. I thought it would have been higher because it's really highlighted that I was spending so much money on things, like literally 49. You mean to tell me I could have been saving 49% of my income this whole time?
What? What?
49% of my income could have been out putting in work, building some wealth. You know what I'm saying? Here I am spending it on whatever the hell I'm spending it on. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. 49% of my pay going towards saving and investing was not my reality at all. After doing that analysis, the second step was to figure out where my money was going. I like to be a very pretty girl, and I was spending a lot of money on beauty, a lot of money on beauty treatments. I had bi-weekly nail salon visit. That was 95 for my nails, 65 for my toes every 2 weeks, $320 a month. I had a membership to a med spa where I would go get massages and facials. That was $70 or so a month. I had laser hair removal sessions. I believe I paid a lump sum of about $750 for those. And I was in the hair salon. Is. I am in the hair salon every 2 weeks at about 150 per visit. So that's about $300 a month. I love food. I'm a big foodie. Not only do I spend about $300 a month on groceries, I also eat out. I love trying new restaurants, and it's when I eat out, I eat out. I'm genuinely my rule of thumb has always been if I can make something better than what I'm going to eat out at home, then I'm not going. Cue in all the overpriced restaurants. I can easily in a weekend spend $200 on food and drinks. Multiply that by four. What is that? 800 a month on restaurants and food and drinks and hanging out with friends.
Oh, call declined.
Embarrassing.
Call declined.
You see my point. Money, I was just throwing money. All of that is fun. While all of that is very nice, it was distracting me and it was detouring me from being where I wanted to be financially. I cut a lot of it. I stopped getting my nails done. That took a big chunk out of that mess that I was creating. I stopped going out with no purpose and I started being mindful of if I'm going to go out, of preparing at home beforehand. For example, on Friday, I went to an event this past Friday and I cooked. I made a meal, I made dinner, and and I had a drink before I left the house. That saved me a lot of money in eating out after the event's over, and it saved me money in buying drinks at the event. Once I realized that all my money was going to beauty treatments and going out and eating at beautiful luxurious restaurants, I decided to find ways to cut back. Now, this part here is vital. This is the part where you get the most creative in your financial journey, right? For me, because I was spending $320 a month at the nail salon, I started learning how to do my own nails. And I changed my mindset, and instead of looking at getting my nails done as maintenance, I started to look at it as a luxury. And so it's not saying that I never do it, but it's not a habit for me anymore. To every 2 weeks on the dot, I'm going to do it. Now that I've learned how to do my own nails and I've learned how to take care of my own nails, I prioritize that. When I want to get pampered, when I want that luxury service, then I will go pay for it. But it has saved me a lot of money learning how to do it myself. Another way that I have cut back is buying in bulk. And this is a little less intuitive because buying in bulk is upfront more expensive, but you save in the unit price of whatever it is that you're buying. Another way that I cut back on the expense of going out was to not drink. Just not drinking. I can go to an event, I can go out and have fun and not need to drink. That doesn't mean that I won't. Having a drink or two at home before I go out. Of course, I'm driving responsibly. I'm Ubering, so don't come for me. Don't come for me, okay? Is a lot more economical than going to the event and spending $15 for each drink plus tip. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's easily $50 in one night on drinks. Another way I cut back was stopping subscriptions. I do not pay for subscriptions anymore. I stopped online shopping, opening up my phone and seeing what's available, seeing what's there. No more of that. There's no more of that for me. I prefer to shop in person. If I can get a better deal on something by buying it online, I'll usually go check it out in person. Make sure this is actually what I want, and then I'll buy it. Went through all of the sectors where I was spending money, and I found ways that I could reduce or I could eliminate entirely. Once I established a baseline for my necessities and expenses, and I cut a necessary want, I then started to piece together how I could reach those financial goals. The next step for me was determining how much I wanted to save and how much I wanted to invest. Now, I knew that I wanted majority of my income to be going to saving and investing before it went to any non-essentials. I set up my accounts, my savings accounts, and my investment accounts to pay myself first. Before I even pay my bills, my paycheck is split for a portion of it to go to one account, and which is my savings, and the rest of it to go to another account, my checkings. And to make it even more difficult for me to go back and forth between my savings and my checkings, I actually have these accounts with different banks, so it's not as easy to transfer the money from my checking savings.
I got a checking in the savings, but all my money is in the savings. I don't think my card is gonna go through unless you got jeans on, because you gotta wipe it off.
You got to jump through a lot more hoops than if my checkings and my savings were with the same bank. So I have my savings set up and I have my recurring investments set up, and that automatically comes off the top. Before I even get a chance to get my hands on that paycheck, my saving and my investing is done. It's completed with. This was a game changer for me. Caveat here, I am not a financial advisor. I am not giving anybody financial advice. I'm solely sharing what has worked for me. Because I was doing the opposite before. I was paying my bills and then spending on whatever I wanted and then saving. And what that resulted in was a lot less saving and investing. Because now that my financial priorities have changed, I feel like my actions should change. The sequence of how I do things should change. Saving and investing is first for me, then it's paying my bills and taking care of my necessities, and then at the third tier of that is spending on any non-necessities. Buying new clothes, traveling, beauty treatments, things like this changed my finances. The first one is I couldn't skirt around saving or investing. It became a lot more difficult. There have been some times where I've overrun my budget and I've had to take money from my savings account and transfer it. That's normal. It's not an easy process. I've made it a lot harder for myself to be able to do so, which kind of keeps me in line because I am also very lazy and I don't want to have to transfer money if I don't have to. The second thing is it made me reevaluate the way I spend money. In structuring my finances this way, it made me less likely to spend money frivolously because at that point, I'm working with a smaller pool of money and like this is my bill money. What is left is my bill money. And if I go and spend that, baby, the lights are going to get cut off. Next, it made saving and investing way easier. Didn't have to deal with any spreadsheets, deal with any budgets. What I have left over is what I'm free to play with. So it's nice. I think the biggest plus from this method for me was the psychology of watching my money grow. Once I started putting more intention into saving and investing, and I watched my money grow, it became a competition for me. It was exciting, it was exhilarating to challenge myself to be more creative with how I spend money, to be more creative in the things that I would normally do or buy and not think twice about. I became more excited watching myself save and watching my investments grow. It really triggered something in me to where this became fun. And this wasn't so much of an anxiety inducing exercise, but more of a fun challenge of how can I save an extra $100 a week, or how can I save an extra $500 a month within the scope of my necessities. I started paying more attention to the mailer ads that I got in the mail. I started paying more attention and caring more about when went on sale. I just started implementing small little hacks here and there that over time added up. It becomes fun. It became really fun for me. It became a competition with myself. A very healthy competition, might I add. Became a healthy competition with myself of how I could save and where I could provide a little bit more value to my financial goals. Once again, if y'all want a breakdown on how I save and how I invest, drop a comment below and I'll make that video for y'all. With the intense saving and investing, I was able to save up for a down payment on a new car. I put $10,000 on a new car. Interest rates were super, super high. I knew that if I was going to buy a new car, it had to be a situation in which I could either pay for it all in cash, which was just not possible with the way the used car market was at the time, or I need to put a hefty down payment down because I don't want to be paying on a depreciating asset for my whole entire life. So I was able to meet that goal. I was able to meet the goal of traveling. I set up a travel fund. In the last 6 months, I've been to 2 separate countries. I've been on 2 separate vacations. I went to Belize and I went to Costa Rica. I've also been able to save up about 5 months of money in an emergency fund. I am still working on paying off my student loans, and now that I have a car loan, I am working on paying that off as well. But generally, I feel like I have the tools to be able to do this. And so for me, I kind of just repeated the cycle. When I got my new car, I just kind of repeated the cycle. I found a way to cut back. I believe my car note was like $360 a month. But I wanted to challenge myself to pay it off, to pay my car off a lot sooner than my loan term. I found another way to cut back $150 a month, and I pay an extra $150 a month on my car loan to pay that balance down faster. I also pay an extra, I want to say close to $400 a month on my student loans to pay that balance down faster. I have also started challenging myself to use my leftover funds to put back into my loans. At the end of the month, when I get my check, after my savings and investing is taken, after I pay my necessities, what's left, I can do whatever I want to do with it. I am choosing to be more intentional with that money and putting it to paying off my debt quicker. Some months I'll pay a lot over on my student loans or my auto loans. Some months I'll spend that money shopping. It kind of just depends. But like I said, once I started paying down my loan balances, it became a competition. It just feels so good when you start seeing that principal shrink and get lower and lower and lower. Ooh, it just feels so good. That is another challenge I have for myself. I would like to have my car paid off by, if not the end of this year, the end of next year, and I would like to have my student loans paid off fully in 2 years as well. Stick around. I might make a little journey video about that too. The last item I want to talk about is how I stay on track. It was inevitable for me to get knocked off track and to step out of the bounds that I had created for myself, my budgets, and my finances. This has happened multiple times. And I would find myself regressing. I had to figure out a way to get myself back on track, to implement some tools. I had to find some tools and find a way to implement them so that when I got off track, I could pull the tools out of my toolbox and I could get back on track. The issue that I fall into most of the time is spending too much money. Surprise! And I buy everything with a credit card. I have a travel rewards credit card. I pretty much buy everything except for like my rent. Pay for everything except for my rent and utilities on my credit card. Sometimes, especially when I go traveling, I will go over budget, and I have a very, 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 very strict, no matter how much money you spend, if you decide you want to go out and buy something that has a high ticket price on it, baby, you're paying your credit card off at the end of the month. We are not rolling over no balances. We are not paying no interests. I turn to my savings accounts and I will pull money out of my savings account to pay for those expenses because I do not let my credit card carry a balance. I believe my credit card is around 20% APR. And because I use my credit card for everything, the balance gets pretty high at the end of the month. And 20%, I'm not charging 20%. You are not about to charge me 20% on me charging everything in my life for a month. We're just not doing that. If I go over my credit card budget, what I will do is I will take money from my savings accounts. And I have separate accounts for car, for travel, for splurge, and emergency fund. Now, the bucket that I try not to touch as much as possible is emergency fund. And I think I've only had to dig into that once. And it was not for an emergency, it was because I wanted a new subwoofer in my new car. It's because I wanted a subwoofer in my new car. I bit the bullet on it and I did it. Subsequently, there are consequences to that. And that consequence was that I had to pull money out of my savings to cover the balance of my credit card because I put that all on my credit card. I try to avoid that as much as possible. And when I'm staying consistent, when I'm doing what I need to do, when I'm staying consistent with my daily routines, with my weekly routines, I usually don't have that much of a problem with it. But I learned that I needed to have some sort of backup for when I did overspend. And while I have an emergency fund, a subwoofer is not an emergency. It banged out. But yeah, that's life. It happens. It happens. My lovely friends. That is it. That's it. That's all. In conclusion, I went through all of my accounts, figured out where my money was going. I then decided where I could cut back on money. I chose the method of which I wanted to save and invest, which was investing and saving first, paying bills second, having incidental money third. I then challenged myself to exceed my goals, to save more, to invest more. And I built a safety net around myself when I inevitably make mistakes. And this has completely transformed my life, transformed my finances. I feel a lot more confident. I feel a lot more comfortable, especially in this crazy environment. The great thing about these tools is it does not matter how much money you make. I know a lot of people I know a lot of people are probably going to watch this video and they're probably going to say, there's no way that I could save 50% of my income. There's no way that I could do that. And you might be right, but I would challenge you to still figure out how you could make it work. I have a great career. However, I live very, 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 very far below my means. And that's by choice. It's by choice. I'm fine with it. I enjoy not having to stress out about money. I have set up my life in a way to where my necessities and my expenses are a smaller fraction of my pay. Don't get discouraged. If you're not where you want to be financially, I guarantee you there is room for you to improve. I guarantee you there's room for you to cut back. If you're ordering Uber Eats, if you're ordering DoorDash, if you've got every single streaming service and every single subscription under the sun, if you love to shop, if you like to play video games and you're constantly buying video games, um, there is always ways. If you go out a lot, you buy a lot of drinks. If you eat out a lot, there's always ways to conserve, and there's always money somewhere. You just got to go look for it. Let this video be your challenge to get your finances together before the end of the year, because this economy ain't playing with nobody, baby. This economy ain't playing with you. If you ain't got it like that, you got to figure out what works for you. All right. With that being said, I'm so glad you guys decided to tune in. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Drop your comments down below and let me know where in your life, in your finances, can you cut back to achieve your financial goals. All right. Thanks, y'all. Bye.